revoke and make null and void all contracts, rituals, programs, frequencies, harmonics within the human heart, and agreements with all malevolent forces, abusive influencers, narcissistic psychopaths, savage hearts, violent entities, and violent, abusive human embodiments in other ethereal, energetic life, in all forms of existence, in this plane, in this reality, in all planes, in all forms of realities, in all dimensions and multiple timelines, past, present, and future, where they believe in enforcing their projected realities, their savagery, their programming, their agendas, their destruction from all of their dominions and their lords, their greeds, their movements, their kingdoms, their dominions and beliefs, where they and those enforce and mesmerize project their illusions as their projected realities into all life, all humanity, all animal, all plant, all life on all versions of earth, all life in the sea, all life in the air, all life in the aether, all terrestrial and extraterrestrial realms, all living, transient, elemental, their tyranny and destruction. I collapse and fold and dissolve into oblivion their catastrophic contracts, rituals, plans, and programs in all systems, and install and replace and invoke within them, within all, peace, love, balance, conscious awareness, heart centeredness, care, nurture, harmony, and remembrance of the universal law, with the consciousness for the universal mind, which is Great Spirit within the laws of mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. Great Spirit as the multi-universe exists in perfect harmony, love, creation, and order by virtue of these laws made in existence with us, for us, and within us as we are within it. It is done. Hi everyone. I've decided to share some of my thoughts on a few things and to explain a few, well, to give a bit of understanding with regards to the universal laws in the revocation, and why the revocation is important, and why I've been putting the revocation I've been posting it in the front of most of my videos, which I will be continuing doing, so that it is part of the process in which we are going through right now. That said, I've chosen to topic this um, video unplugged, which means I'll just be giving you all my thoughts and sharing it with you as it comes to me. But I will be discussing the importance of the universal laws in the revocation as such, so that there is more clarity in and an awareness to why it is put together in that way. Now, the previous video where I announce or make it clear about the revocation as such is in the Great Ritual video, which I will be putting the link in. So that is the reference point, or the the place where you could start from, and then I will explain to you what the universal laws are and why they are important for us, and share with you some thoughts on the things that I've been accumulating over time, and we'll have a little bit more sense of where we are. So I've got my material in front of me, with regard to the universal laws, but it is important on the revocation as such that we must understand the foundation of contracts as such. I may not have given a very clear and concise explanation on how contracts are formed, perhaps not very directly, but I have made mention of it to those who have paid attention, to those who have been following through with the call to creation as such. That's from where it started. But for clarification purposes and for just understanding and just refreshing the mind, the thoughts on what contracts are as such. A contract is when a person or as, when there is an agreement that takes place between a person and another person, or a person and an event, or an event in itself, which can create anything really. I mean, for the most part, we understand that our subconscious or our emotional consciousness is often subjected to an agreement that was perhaps made with a person, can be a parent or an older person, an adult person when we were children, or even before then with a partner or someone that you trust. Normally, when there is an agreement that's made, it is when I, for example, say to you, "You'll take care of me when I'm old," while I'm saying it to you while you're 10 years old, sort of example. And you say, "Yes, Dad, I will do it." And you've agreed to that contract. When you are in your adult years and you're still finding yourself looking after your older parent, who has now literally relinquished all form of responsibility and placed it on your shoulders, I would say you are subjected to that particular contract as such. Now, that is a contract that you have not agreed to, but you were subjected to believe that you were having to accept it because of your trust and your faith in that person. Not so. And so the same thing applies to when you can basically revoke that contract. That's very important to understand, that as you can make a contract and you can revoke a contract, particularly if you understand the universal laws as such. And I'm not saying that this is not going to be about, this is not a law channel or anything like that. This is quantum law or universal law, whatever you want to call it. It is universal law, or the seven personalities of Great Spirit in which we operate in and which we function in, because we are Great Spirit in plural, just as Great Spirit is plural within us. Multiple faces make one presence, with individual consciousness honored and respected. This is what I feel is the foundation of the Promethean, is that we already had the fire. We didn't need to steal it from gods. That is also a contract. And that contract is being revoked in the revocation that is posted in the last 3 videos so far, and will be, as I said, be posted in front of all my videos so far until we are feeling that there is a more apparent change. Now, feedback on this revocation is, as from, I'm sure you've been aware of all the very many things that have been coming up to the surface. And I'm referring to those of us who are aware, and for us to see and observe that it is actually working, even just by listening to it. Because what you're listening to is a sound in which the soul operates in agreement to its covenant to Great Spirit. We agree to a universal covenant every day when we open our eyes in our physical form with Great Spirit. The covenant is to honor our Adamic existence as such. That is the most important law for us to be mindful of. The 7 universal laws, there are 7 of them. Everyone else, all the other laws that have been mentioned, I have gone through them, I have meditated over them, I have um, done a lot of deeper insight work on them. I do not feel that they are as relevant as the 7 universal laws. I'm not saying that they're wrong, but I'm saying I'm sticking to what I know and what has been revealed to me. And that is where I feel we have to honor our fire, our flame, our fire branded fire within us, to guide us along this way. And that this is the time of all times that we are inherently now utilizing our insight, and that we now know that we do not need to read around to search and find and study, although we can if you want to. I don't ever discard reading up and researching. I love researching. It's, for me, it's fun actually, and it's also insightful, and it qualifies when I have a revelation or revealing within my conscious thoughts, that I often find something to substantiate that so that I can then work with that. That is just how I operate within myself. And I know I have a feeling that there are some of us, particularly you, who are doing the same thing. So now we know that there's a hell of a lot of stuff that's being scripted onto the system for us to read and to live by. Subjected contracts that we could be agreeing to by virtue of just giving it sight. We also know that where sight goes, there is creation as well. So that is another thing that we are very aware of right now. So when I say, like, I'm not going to reinvent the last few discussions that I've had or re-talk about it or rehash it again, but I'm not going to do that. I feel that it's important for us to follow through with it. So I'm just going to touch briefly on the universal laws, and I've got it open in front of me. We need to understand that there are 2 forms of awareness that we must perceive, that we must understand, that we must be aware of: the immutable law and the mutable law. The universal laws are created within the personalities of Great Spirit. The first 3 parts of the universal laws are immutable. In other words, cannot be changed, will forever and infinitely always exist, irrespective of whether you come back as a leopard or a ant or a rock or whatever. It's always going to exist. While you are coming back to this system, these are the universal laws that you will exist in. When you go to another system, that system will incorporate to this system's universal laws. There is only one great singular existing body of Great Spirit, uh, and it has many faces, it has many impressions, expressions. I'm not discarding any of these facets. I'm going into for those who know me, I go into the actual root cause, the root of it. Um, it's pointless discussing the frivolities of around it as such. Just get to the point, is what I do. So, immutable means cannot be changed. It'll always exist, has always existed, and will always exist. Mutable means it can change or it can be transcended, or doesn't mean that it's, well, when I say change, what I meant to say is it can be transcended, so you can improve on it. So there's 4 laws. The other part of the laws, the four, are for us to improve on, to transcend on. So the law of mentalism, and I will post this again in, I will go into more detail for those who are interested to go onto my website, www.the-promethean.com. The website link will be at the bottom for the correct spelling. Please sign up, subscribe. Whenever I make a video, I will always give the deeper background, the deeper explanation of the video as such. So it's always good to have a little bit of a background or a backstory of the material. And also be mindful that I am working on creating a back channel, which is called the Brand New Tube, because I have a suspicion that there's going to be some sort of extra changes taking place. So please subscribe to that channel as well, for those who are interested in following this material. Just keep it as a backup. Okay. So the law of mentalism is immutable. It explains that the mind is consciousness and is the underlying substance of the universe. We know that our existence is conscious, and that the consciousness is also the mind of Great Spirit. We know that too. It means that can never change. That is always going to be that way. I'm just touching briefly on them and I'm reading them to you as such. Please read it and understand it. You may have been living it already without even being aware that it's called universal laws. It's just interesting to know what it actually is called. As such, the law of correspondence, which is also immutable, which means as above, so below. I think that's pretty obvious. That cannot be changed. That law cannot be changed. Then there's the law of vibration. So for every sound that I send out, there is a sound, there is a feedback, straight back. Nothing rests. Nothing is standing still. Nothing and all things cannot stand still. It is always moving. Everything moves and everything vibrates. It is alive. Therefore, when people ask, sometimes they ask me, can you predict the future? I say, I am not going to predict the future, because your future is in your present being made, and I cannot dictate what your choices will be. And that is important for us to understand, that whatever we choose, we are not set in stone. Everything moves, everything vibrates. It's always going to be that way. The next law is the law of polarity. Contrary to how it's been going on with regards to saying, dualism, and no, we must change the duality, blah, blah, blah. I have never ever said that. I've always said, yes, there's masculine and feminine, and then there's the middle, the third eye, or the child. So I always acknowledge the three within one body form. So for everything that is light, there is dark. And for everything that is dark, there is light. And for everything that is up, there is down. There is male and there is female. That is another, and that is a mutable law, which means that can be improved on. Therefore, the improvement on that is masculine, which is creative power, feminine, which is receiving the creative power as a conscious seed, and then giving birth, which is the center, which is the child, which is the third eye or the lamb. Of that is extremely important to understand why I refer to it as the lamb, just because it must be understood that the lamb used to be used as a sacrifice, which we are changing. Back in the day, they used to document where they would say, oh no, well, we will definitely ask for some sort of something to come to us, food or fire, light, whatever. And we would then be sacrificing some animal, which is only the lamb. And then Moses came along and said, okay, well, we're going to not break the bones, which means don't break the laws of the land. So, for that purpose, we are not sacrificing this anymore. We are not doing that anymore. That is the Iron Age. We are now in the age of reason. And this is why I'm bringing this to your attention, that we are improving upon it, which is the third aspect or the third part of the polarity itself. But to believe what is wrong is to believe in one pole only, which means you're only going to witness things through one lens. You'll never give yourself the chance to observe things with all things present. Eventually, the awareness and the knowledge about what I've just explained to you, the three-eyed race, becomes the all present existence of all, becomes the great spirit in awareness. Okay. Next law, which is the number 5 law, is the law of rhythm, which means when you're speaking in a particular way, everything flows in a rhythm. It flows in and it flows out, just like your heart. Again, that is mutable, which means it can be improved on, it can be transcended from, which means if you're aware that what I'm saying or what you are hearing, what is going out from this fountain is water flowing into your cup, and the same from your cup to cup, my cup, or my womb, for you to then plant that seed in here. And this information is how we have improved and transcended on already. Then there's the law of cause and effect, which I'm very sure we are aware of what it means. But for those who may not be aware of it, the law of cause and effect is whatever I say or do, there is an effect or a response of that thing in its revelation to you. So if I do something really bad, then that something really bad is revealing itself to me. And then that is the effect. Then there is the law of gender, which is actually quite important. The law of gender is to explain that everything has a masculine or feminine part. This information on the law of gender is very important with regards to the masculine and the feminine principles, has got nothing to do with, oh, I am changing my physical form into that form. It's got nothing to do with that. Masculine principle and the feminine principle is to give clarity for your understanding, for your awareness that to create is masculine, to receive the creation and to carry the seed into term is feminine, and to have the seed be birthed is the soul, is the spirit that's rooted into the soul, the anima mundi, the family. That's why they say charity begins at home. Charity starts within oneself, actually. This is your home, your house. Now, I feel it was important just to brush up on these universal laws and for us to just have a little bit of an understanding to it, where we are in terms of that. The power of the revocation is working. I'll leave that with you. I'm sure you've noticed by now. And, well, I have. I always see. I'm looking just like you do. We're observing. Now, the other thing that I want to bring to your attention is I will give a bit of information on somebody that I am looking at in terms of their um, notifications I will put it on my website, this person's information. I'm not going to say this person's name because it could trigger the algorithms. But in actual fact, this person makes mention of natural laws, which I feel is incredibly important because it ties into the universal law. It was never given to us. We had it as we chose to come into this reality. We live within we are meant to live in our natural law state of existence, not abused or transformed or manipulated or inverted, such as what some people have done to the natural laws, or inverting the pentagram. But I'm referring to the actual natural laws of your existence, the right to exist, the right to breathe air, the right to have freedom of thought, the right to have freedom of speech, etc., etc., etc. I think you know where I'm going with that. Please take note of it, that it is, has, and always will have been and be. It is yours. You've never needed to ask for it or beg for it. Humanity may have been led to believe that the natural laws were given to us, that it is because we worked for it. Just remember that as Great Spirit functions in the existence of the seven personalities, within those personalities there are more laws or more observations or more directions that flow from them when we come from Great Spirit and come into this reality that we have that already with us, that we are here for a reason, for ourselves. We are here existing in this reality, that we are able to understand that we are privileged. That idea of you are privileged to receive this and that, you are privileged that you are alive, blah 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 bullshit. It's not a privilege, it is your right. You have always had that. I cannot tell you that it is your privilege to sit and listen to me. I cannot tell you that it is your privilege to, well, you better be happy that you can still go and buy your food, or that you're still safe while you're sitting confined in your house. I can't say that. That is not, that is bullshit. That is the inversion of actual natural law. Please take note what it is. Your individual right is important to you. Your existence is important to you. You take responsibility for yourself. You have taken responsibility for yourself. You are a Promethean. You are an existing being, human being. Some people don't really go into too much detail about it because they're afraid, because they don't really understand it so well. And then they are also afraid that you might lose interest in them always being there to be the savior. Anyway, so to be quite frank and to just give it another more deeper explanation to you, that if someone says it is your privilege, it is for the greater good, that is a lie. Those things are lies. Those things are manipulated and inverted. Please keep in mind, you exist with an individual consciousness and existence within the sphere of Great Spirit, free. You know what is right from wrong. You know that if you're aware of the universal laws, that you can function in that. You have been functioning it with even being aware of it, perhaps. You are intellectually connected and in a covenant with Great Spirit to be here, because what you gather and what you learn and what you experience here is Great Spirit's experience. And when you pass on, you return back with the experience, just as the same as The story about Noah who sent out the dove to fetch an olive branch back. You are the dove. You're not Noah. You're the dove. You go and you fetch an olive branch and you bring it back. Everything that's written, you're the messenger, God, you're all of those things. Just take a little bit more serious notice of who you are. That's what I'm actually trying to say. And don't give power to the agreement of the subjection of the bullshit that they're trying to play at you to make you feel subjected to. They try and brainwash you here so that you don't know what to accept and understand. Just keep always going within. I do. I do it every day. I go within. And then once I'm familiar with what I know and what I feel, then I will look. And if it doesn't make sense, that's it. I go within because that's where the information, the guidance has always been from. So yeah, I want to actually ask you guys to please take serious care of yourself. Take notice of who you are. Gather treasures that cannot be physically taken away from you within you. We are in the collapsing of an old timeline. We are converging or collapsing, and we are bringing into reality a new reality which we are contributing to greatly so. And then we are also observing the primordial forces that are coming up as well, which are directly tied to the subconscious as well. So take note of that as well. The subconscious, your shadow, the shadow of your origin. So I will leave that with you guys. Please feel free to like and subscribe. I don't feel like I need to tell you that, but look after yourselves. Take yourself with a little bit more seriousness. Take note of who you are. You're a beautiful being. You're a beautiful creative being. You are part of Great Spirit. We are Great Spirit. Don't forget. We are Great Spirit in presence. And we are creating and we are seeding the consciousness, our own and those that we connect with. Much love. Bye.